Well, now what I do? Waaaagh! Welcome back to the Red Ones Go Fast. Old Big Mek here, and today we answer the question, what now? That's right, I am very well aware that most of you are not old like Big Mek and haven't been in the hobby for a really long time. In fact, we did a pretty big survey in between YouTube and Facebook groups and our Discord server and our Patreon, and found out that over 65% of you have been into Warhammer for less than a couple of years, which is awesome. Welcome to the hobby. Welcome to the Waaaagh. It's a great place to be. We all know that real life is challenging in the best of times, and having an escape to like take your brain to and also have it be something that you can physically do in multiple ways is a really cool hobby. And especially this hobby that you can do with your partners and spouses, with your kids. Obviously, old Big Mek here has his grots on the channel all the time. We love playing Kid Hammer and talking about that kind of thing. So if you're into that kind of stuff, definitely stick around. But yeah, this whole video is to answer what to do now. Now, obviously, I'm going to talk a lot about orcs because this is the codex that just came out and it's the army that's nearest to my heart. But this advice applies no matter what army you play. This is army agnostic. We're talking about you've decided to jump in with both feet into the Warhammer hobby, even if it's not Warhammer 40k. This also applies to Age of Sigmar and Warcry and Kill Team and everything else, right? But the long and the short of it is, you've decided you're going to be in this hobby. You've gotten yourself a rule book. You've gotten yourself an army or, a bunch of boxes of guys. Maybe even you went all in and you've got, cool books to read or merch from your favorite YouTuber. So now that you've started in the hobby, it's like, well, what do you do now, right? You own all these things. You're, obviously watching some videos, but what to actually do? Well, I'm here to say the first thing, build your minis. Take them off the sprue and actually build some. Now, there's two ways to go about this. I'm of the mind, I'm the kind of person that I build everything, or try to build everything, right? I build a lot of it, and then go back and paint it later. And I like to do that because then at least I can game with the pieces, right? And the great thing about Warhammer is you don't even need an opponent. You can game against yourself. It's not a super secret squirrel kind of thing where you don't need to know what the other person is doing like Battleship. Like, you can totally do solo games. And so it's a great way to learn how to play and start getting some reps in. And so if you at least have the models built, you can use them. It also helps with like, okay, you want to paint, but maybe what you're painting isn't necessarily doing it for you, being able to move on to a different model. Because a bunch of half-painted models is still better than no painted models. All right, so now that you've got some models built, what next? Well, I recommend finding yourself some local resources. And what I mean by that is most of you are going to live in an area where you have what we call an FLGS, a friendly local game store. That is a place where you can go and obviously purchase the products, but they also have a gaming space available. And usually they are really friendly, and you'll find a group of people there. There might even be a club, informal or formal, in your area. For example, I moved to this area not too terribly long ago, and where I moved from had a little bit of a scene for Warhammer, but where I moved to has an amazing scene for Warhammer, and there is an entire group of people that get together multiple times a week, every week, for games and help each other out with advice and painting and modeling and like list building, but definitely with the gaming. And that is so important, that if you're trying to learn something new, if you're trying to engage with a hobby that you've never engaged with before, to be able to go and get perspectives from other people and get games in and get reps in is really big, because you're not going to want to go to a grand tournament or a US Open, for your first game. And, games can be a little bit anxiety inducing, right? Especially if you're brand new to rules and things like that. So finding some local people to help you out, finding a local place to play that is friendly and welcoming to new players is absolutely going to be a win. All right, so you've bought some things, you've built some models, you've maybe played some games and found a local place to enjoy your hobby. really, what's the next step? You know, that answer depends on what part of the hobby is most important to you or that you get the most satisfaction from. For me personally, I love building models. So that means I am going to spend most of my time with converting and kit bashing and really enjoying that part of it. And that's okay. For some people, it's going to be the actual game. You're going to love playing the game. And so for you, it's going to be making sure you get a game in every week and, really enjoying that tacticalness of it. For some people, it's painting. They aren't necessarily going to like the game or the build, but they're going to love painting the minis and really putting those amazing paint jobs together. Others still, it's background and lore, everything is fun and cool, but it doesn't hold a candle to picking up a book and reading all the lore, getting into the novels, watching the stuff on Warhammer Plus, watching all the YouTube videos, really just diving into the universe. There is no wrong answer, and that's the best thing about this hobby. It doesn't matter if you're a modeler, it doesn't matter if you're a painter, it doesn't matter if you're a gamer, it doesn't matter if you are a lore person. They are all correct. They are all the right answers. So welcome to the hobby. Poke around, see what you like, and go for it and enjoy it. There is no wrong way to enjoy it. You never have to play a competitive game of Warhammer to be into Warhammer. You don't. You don't have to play games to justify having a collection. You could just enjoy owning it. Now, if you haven't quite figured out what part of the hobby is your favorite, I do have a suggestion for that. And again, this is going to involve your FLGS, and that's going to be to find what's called an Escalation League. An Escalation League is typically something done for new players or people wanting to start a new army, where the store or the club will host, and they'll have you start off at a small amount of points, like 500 points, and you build and paint that amount of models, and then you have a game or two, and then it moves up every so often, usually monthly or something like that. Escalation leagues are a great way to both build a new army as well as get to know kind of your local players going through the same scenario you are, and it really gives you all the portions of the hobby, right? You've got to build the models, you've got to paint the models, you've got to play the games, you've got to get out there and be social, and really in part of doing all that, you're inevitably going to learn some lore and things, and so it gives you this great, well-rounded experience for everything in the hobby. And then from there you can go, okay, the games are good, but I really liked painting, or the building and painting was cool, but I really love playing the games, or whatever your answer is. And it can even be all of them. I mean, by all means, just because I enjoy modeling the most doesn't mean that I don't enjoy painting, or that I don't enjoy playing the game. I do those too. There are definitely people that are all in on everything, and that's awesome and amazing. And yeah, so just find the part of the hobby that brings you joy and do it. Now, for those of you that don't happen to live in an area that has an easily accessible, friendly local game store or a club or, anything like that, there are some options. And one of the ones that I would actually recommend is our virtual community. What do I mean by that? Well, obviously you're watching this video on YouTube. You're not here in my hobby space, right? And I'm not there in yours, but we're still able to have this conversation. And it is a conversation. It's a two-way street. There are comments down below, and people will have opinions and facts and other things to say, and I will be able to respond to you, and you'll be able to respond to me. And it can get so much bigger than this. We have a Discord server. There's a link down in the description below. It's completely free. You don't have to be on anything or paying for anything to get access to it, but you can come and join no matter what army you play and be part of a community of people that are like-minded, that are newer to the hobby, that have ideas on how to convert, save some money, building your army, tactics and advice for, writing your first army list, things like that. There can be a community there. There's also the ability to do something like an Escalation League, and that's actually something we're going to be doing this summer on the Discord server, is our own Escalation League to help encourage everyone to build and paint their army up together. So even if you're not in person, even if you can't go somewhere, at least you can find a community and be a part of, a lot of the hobby. And if you do want to take it a step further, or you really liked old Big Mek's content, I do have a Patreon. There's a link down in the description below. A massive thanks to all my patrons. You really help make this channel possible, and things like our Discord server being free for everyone. So, you know, if you want to take that extra step, I greatly appreciate it. But if not, totally cool. Just watching the video absolutely helps this hobby grow. Clicking like, subscribe, commenting, coming over to Discord, every single thing you do helps the channel and helps the hobby, because I, you know, want to work with other artists as well. You know, Velgarn did our artwork for us, so you buy these, you know, stickers or shirts or whatnot, and some of the proceeds go toward him. DeGoff Rockers did our intro and outro song, and we're working with another artist on a 3D project that'll be hitting our Patreon very soon. So, you know, it's all about helping each other out. We definitely want to help build the voices of more YouTube channels and more hobbyists. Because it is such a great community, and there are a ton of us out there, and not all of us live in an area where we do have that FLGS or that local community. So get out there and find it, and if you can't find it or you want some more, come join us in the virtual reality, and you know, we'll make it together. So until next time, Waaaagh on!